Hi and welcome to Online Appliance Tech. Today we're going to go over the LE area code for the LG washer. In this video we'll show you how to test the hall sensor and the motor, and if none of these are your problems, more than likely it'll be your main control board. So let's get started. So does your washer sound like this? If so, more than likely is your hall sensor. So first thing you want to do is remove the back panel by removing the 4 Phillips screws on the back. But back to topic, if your LG does not sound like that, don't worry, more than likely it's going to be the motor or the hall sensor. More than rarely it's never the main control board, but we'll go over everything in this video. So once we remove this panel, we're going to remove the plastic from the harness. You'll put your multimeter on the ohm settings, and this way we can check the resistance throughout the motor and the hall sensor, which is connected here. So we have a plastic cover that goes over this harness assembly. So once you remove this little tie, you'll pull the plastic up, and this way we can check everything with our multimeter on the ohm setting. Definitely make sure you unplug this before you get started. So this is a harness that we'll be checking. It connects to the hall sensor, which is connected to the motor itself. So once you get your multimeter, you're going to turn to the ohm settings. So we're going to test for continuity. So this sensor itself reads K ohms, so you want to make sure you have it, on the ohms settings where it can read up past 1,000 ohms or up to even 40,000. Just depends on the multimeter you have. So right here, we're going to do our check. We're going to test our white and blue, and it should read between 8K ohms and 12K ohms. So just disconnect the harness. Then you'll just put your multimeter, one in your white and one in your blue. So as you can see here, we're at 10K ohms, so this does pass. So now we'll go to our red and our white. So here we're at 9.88K ohms, so we can have a 7% variance from negative to positive, so that does pass. So now we'll check the pulses throughout the motor itself. So in this next test, we will have to have the unit plugged in. If you do not feel comfortable, I recommend you just call in a professional, but if you are comfortable, go ahead and move forward. So you'll connect the harness back together, and then you'll put your multimeter in your gray and your blue. Once done so, you will plug in the unit, and then you'll spin the rotor by hand. So once again, you'll connect your multimeter to your gray and blue. Okay, and then obviously we have to turn our multimeter to DC voltage, not AC, DC. So we'll turn it to DC. So at this time, we're going to plug back in the unit, and we're going to turn the rotor clockwise with our hand. Our digital multimeter should pulsate up to 10 DC volts. If it does not, this means your hall sensor is defective. So now we're going to check our gray and red. And at this point, once we get it connected, we're going to turn the rotor to the right, and you should have your multimeter pulsate up to 10 DC volts. If it doesn't, it's a bad hall sensor. So say if at the beginning of the video when we checked all the resistance, 8 to 12K ohms, and say if you don't get that range, more than likely you have a bad hall sensor. If you get open line, that probably means one of your wires are cut in between, and you have to do a continuity check from the wiring itself from the main board down to the harness, or from the harness connected to the motor. But as of now, we'll go ahead and unplug it, and we're going to replace this hall sensor because that was the case for this one. So removing the hall sensor, you're going to remove the rotor. So it's better if you have some type of socket wrench or adjustable wrench. It does work like I'm using here, but a socket wrench is definitely better. But you can use this if you don't have one, and just tap it to the left, which is counterclockwise, and just loosen up the bolt. And once you get the bolt loosened up, you can easily remove it the rest of the way. So once you remove the bolt, you're going to take the rotor with two hands. This is a rotor. So you'll take it and you'll wiggle it off and pull it towards you. It is magnetic, so that's why it's kind of stuck in a way, but it will come off, and just put it somewhere safe. Okay, in the next point of the video, we're going to remove all these bolts. It takes a 10 millimeter to remove these, and then this is the harness that goes to the Hall sensor and the motor. So we have to remove these Phillips screws, which connects into the back rear Tromm support. So just remove these and put them somewhere where you won't lose them. So it should be a total of 4 screws. This is the ground wire, so we'll definitely make sure we put that one back where it goes. And then we'll take our 10 millimeter. We're going to move these, I believe it's 6 bolts. Just kind of take them off. I kind of leave one at the top to hold it on there, and kind of hold the stator motor with my hand before I remove the last one, because it is connected to the harnesses, which connects the harness to the motor and to the Hall sensor. So I'm going to hold it, and then I'm going to remove this bolt as I hold it, because it will fall. So there we go. So now you'll gently move the motor towards you, but don't just let it fall, because it is, as you can see, connected to the harnesses, the Hall sensor, which is here, and the connection which goes into the motor itself. So we'll just disconnect the Hall sensor now, the harness, and then we'll just remove it with a flathead. And I'll just kind of let it come up under it and just pry it off real easy. So once that's unclipped, it'll just basically pull it forward and it'll come right off. And then you'll take your new Hall sensor. Let me find it. There it is. And then it has 3 little grooves in the front of the motor, or the wind-in, which is here. And then these will align there, like that. So it doesn't really go on like that, so you have to actually go from the back first and then clip it down. So yeah, don't try it like that. Back first, and then you'll press the top forward and it'll click right into place. So make sure all the grooves are aligned, and then you'll just reconnect the harness, and then we'll put the motor back into place. This Hall sensor or the harness itself has a spot on the back of the so like this is the motor harness, which is kind of hard to move, so I'm not going to even remove it. That's why I'm going to check it here at the end of the video. I'll show you how to check this through the harness here. So back to topic, you'll put this back in the same place. You have a spot on the left here where it goes into its grooves, I guess you would call it. It's like an opening on the rear drum where the coaxes will slide in easily, I guess you would say. So at this point, I will just have 1 or 2 bolts ready. I'll hold it with my hand, and I'll just hand tighten 1 or 2 in there. That way I can have something to hold it, and then I'll just gently tighten them down with my drill. And I like to kind of put them all in, not tight at once, to just kind of snug them all in, and then tighten them at the end. Kind of like if you're replacing a tire on a car, if you've ever done that. So as of now, I'm just going to make sure they're all nice and snugged in there. I don't want to over tighten it, because I can break the bolt or crack the plastic of the motor itself. So just a nice snug, I guess you would call it, but definitely make sure it's not loose. At this point, you're just going to reconnect all your ground wire and all your harnesses to the rear of the rear basket. Okay, so up next we're going to install the rotor itself, and I'll show you what to look for. So you'll just put it on just the same way you took it off. But right here you have a hole. So if you look in this hole where it connects to the shaft, it has screws which has to connect to the shaft itself. If the rotor is stripped, it will not turn the drum and it'll make that ugly noise also. So definitely something to check out. So just put it on there, and then you'll put the bolt back in. I always like to hand tighten it first. This is clockwise, and then once I get it in there as far as I can with my hand, then I'll just take my adjustable wrench or ratchet, and I can just turn the rotor to the left as I hold it in place, and it'll get tight, and then I can just snug it down. Definitely make sure it's on there good, but if it gets to the point where you can't really move it much more, just don't keep on beating it, because you will break the bolt inside the shaft, and you'll have to replace it in a drum, which will be a nightmare. So don't do that. So I'm going to give you an example. I know at the beginning of the video I told you to turn the drum with your hand, it should pulsate, but I didn't really give you no example. So I'm actually going to put it on DC volts, connect my gray and blue together, and I'm actually going to plug it in. I recommend don't doing this. I just want to show you exactly what I mean by pulsating up to 10 DC volts. And then as you'll see here, so I'm going to plug it in. I'm going to put it in diagnostic mode to run at a slow speed. So as you can see here, it's pulsating. So there's a motor, see the pulsation. So this is what should happen when you turn it by hand, but it should be up to 10 DC volts. Hope this helps. So say at this point everything checked well on the Hall sensor, and you think hey, it could be the motor. So disconnect the power from the wall, and now we're going to check the resistance throughout the motor itself through this harness. So the first one I'm going to check is going to be the red and the blue, and we'll make sure we put this on the ohms settings. So red and blue, it should be 11 ohms, and like I said, you can be 7% off, either negative or positive. So right here we have 11 ohms. Okay, and so we'll just go to now red and yellow, because their blue was in the middle. So right here we have 11 ohms. So this states that we're good. If it reads open line, it means we have a bad motor on any of those tests. So open line is definitely a short, or it could be a short in the wiring harness itself. So yeah, just make sure you cover up your harnesses with this plastic. This is just in case you have a valve leak or something. I guess they want to keep the water out of it. And then you'll just reinstall your panel. I hope this video was helpful, and please like and subscribe for more future tips and videos. If you have any questions, just leave in comments below. Thank you.